Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here in Hungary, out of cold and rainy Finland at this time of the year. So before I get into my presentation, I have a question to you. Terve Unkari, mitä kuuluu? And now, those of you who understood what I said, please vote A, and the ones that did not, please vote B. Okay, that's good. I thought I would not get any A's. I think you're lying, by the way. We are relative languages, relative nations. So that's why I wanted to say, hello Hungary, how are you doing? So hopefully everybody's doing good. Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about strong two-factor authentication for Juniper SSL VPN Appliances. And the contents of today's presentation, I'm going to briefly cover Tectia cooperation. Then we're going to look at the key authentication challenges of today. And we're going to look at the benefits of Tectia MobileID, which is the solution that I'm talking about here. We are going to look at the key differentiators that make MobileID better than the competitors. We're going to look at the Juniper Technology Alliance that we've established with this market leader in SSL VPN. And then we're going to walk through an actual use case of SSL VPN, Juniper and MobileID. Briefly cover the actual integration of MobileID with Juniper SSL VPN and summarize. So let's get started. So Tectia, I think most of you are familiar with the name SSH Communications. So we are the ones that came up with and invented the Secure Shell protocol back in 1995. We're a NASDAQ enlisted company nowadays. Business is really global for us. 60% of our business and revenue comes from the United States, for example. And traditionally, we've been doing the managed file transfer and SSH-related security automations and monitoring and so on. We serve 7 out of top 10 of Fortune 500. So, the key challenges in authentication today. How do you securely authenticate your remote users? Typically against a VPN, because you have end users, you have business partners, you have remote workers, ad hoc remote accounts, external services and contractors, and so on. So it can get quite hairy. And while you need to do that, make sure the authentication works, you also need to retain your operational efficiency. Ensure that your system scales, ensure that it doesn't cost too much. And according to an RSA white paper, that pie chart there shows the cost of token-based solutions where 50% or more is administration and help desk related costs. So, looking at SMS authentication, when would you consider a tokenless solution for two-factor authentication? When you have geographically dispersed groups of users, when you have mobile and remote workforce, when you are providing an extranet, when you have ad hoc login requirements, when you do not want to invest and manage any hardware related to strong authentication, and when you simply cannot wait for weeks for physical tokens to be delivered to your customers or your end users. So, Tectia MobileID is a next-generation tokenless authentication solution, as we like to call it. It's a multi-factor appliance, virtual or physical, designed specifically for on-demand and out-of-band authentication. And the main use case for MobileID is the high-quality SMS one-time password as strong authentication technology. However, MobileID is an authentication platform, so it supports all other OTP delivery mechanisms and techniques, such as traditional password lists, email OTP, voice OTP, instant messaging OTP, any oath-compliant hardware and software tokens. So let's say you want to use Google Authenticator on your mobile phone in conjunction with MobileID. You can do this. And what's really special is MobileID comes with operator-grade SMS messaging connections out of the box. And all this is fully customizable, and I'll go into that later on. Let's look at the benefits. From the security perspective, there are no seed data to be compromised, no security devices to be stolen or lost. There's typically a 24/7 service deactivation provided directly by your mobile operator, so you do not need a company help desk. The one-time password is 100% unpredictable because it's generated randomly at the time of the login. And finally, with out-of-band authentication, we address the problem of man-in-the-middle, man-in-the-browser attacks, such as the Zeus Trojan. And finally, the financial benefits. There are savings from not having to buy client authentication hardware. There are savings from not having to support and manage client authentication hardware. Savings from not having to distribute anything. Savings from not having to renew client authentication hardware every 3 to 5 years. Savings from being able to use fewer user licenses because MobileID license is pay per active user. So if you have 10,000 people in your organization, 10 of them use MobileID within a given month, you will be paying only for those 10 people. And finally, savings from not having to invest in authentication solution upfront. Pay-as-you-go licenses are available. Sorry. Business benefits. With the SMS user experience for OTP, you will gain improved end-user satisfaction, improved user login experience, less administration, fewer help desk calls. I don't know if any of our customers have any help desk for MobileID because it's simply not needed. And login will not be compromised by a lost token or a token waiting to be delivered. So, looking at the unique differentiators of MobileID, there's basically 4 items here. It's the most scalable and reliable solution out there. It's the fastest to deploy and take into use. It is the most cost-efficient solution, and it provides the best end-user experience. So, first, let's look at the scalability and reliability. With scalability, I mean that with one MobileID virtual or physical appliance, you can serve a few users or you can serve 1 million users. It scales up. Thanks to the fact that it has operator-grade SMS gateways integrated with MobileID, we can deliver the SMS worldwide wherever you are within a guaranteed throughput time with actual SLAs on the throughput time. Now it's certified with Juniper, tells you something about the reliability, and the server itself has been in live production since 2003, so we know that it simply works. And thanks to the modular architecture, we can scale it and we can customize and control network conditions and additional business logic. With respect to the costs, with flexible pricing, you will always find the most affordable solution. Comparing to traditional token-based solutions, it is our rough estimate that you will be paying 1/3 of a cost of a token-based system. And this comes from the fact that it's zero administration system. It's set and forget, and no logistics overhead. Fastest to deploy and activate. There's an example of enabling a token user and removing a token user by your help desk or administration. But with MobileID, it's simply a matter of adding or removing an Active Directory account. That's all that is needed. No administration on the MobileID side. And finally, the end user experience. It is superior. Most of our customers enable and take into live production MobileID without any end user training. They don't even tell their workforce that they're taking MobileID into use. And at the login time, the prompt changes to please type in your SMS password. At the same time, your mobile phone beeps, and a flash message appears on top of the screen showing your SMS one-time password. Everybody understands it, even my mom. And it works on any phone anywhere in the world. Looking at all the different use cases that Tectia MobileID addresses, thanks to its scriptable policy engine, the main use case obviously is the topic of today, which is the two-factor authentication for SSL VPN access, as it's a full-fledged radio server, but it can also do two-factor authentication for any web service or portal that supports SOAP. It addresses the man in the browser out-of-band authentication use case. It is multi-domain. You can connect one MobileID instance to any number of Active Directories, and hence the organization might have 5 different Active Directories. That's not a problem. We can connect to all of them and in sequence search for that particular user that is logging in. We can provide Microsoft Outlook web access authentication. We can do instant messaging OTP delivery, terminal services, any OTP technique. We can even provide you MobileID from a cloud for Windows environments, where you just install one Microsoft installer on your internal network, where you have access to domain controller, and off you go. And finally, the online banking transaction use cases, which we can address thanks to the fact that we can script additional business logic on top of MobileID. And here's an example of a so-called M rule, which is a script on top of MobileID. So you can control and customize authentication, authorization, and access, which is MobileID in essence. New authentication methods can be added. The existing ones can be extended. Authentication methods can be chained, triggered, scheduled, and so on. And even network packets, such as Radius or SOAP, can be rewritten, rerouted, scheduled, and so on. So there's a sample actual custom access rule there, and let me just explain it to you. It says that if the username starts with TK underscore and VPN appliance is SA2500 from Juniper, do token authentication. Otherwise, if the request is coming from a domain 10100 and the time is between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m., require a PIN in addition to OTP. Then, if the user account's password has expired, generate a new password, change it, and send the new password to the end user via SMS. And finally, if there is no mobile phone number in the Active Directory, prompt the user in the challenge to key in the mobile phone number and store it in the AD. So this is just one example that we came up with. So extremely powerful. Now, to the Juniper Technology Alliance. Together with Juniper and their SSL VPN offering, we've integrated fully MobileID such that we are now providing a full turnkey two-factor authentication solution without the challenges of first-generation two-factor authentication. So you can protect against unauthorized access to your critical business information and networks. You reduce your IT admin overhead and workload, hardware costs. You scale from a few to millions of users with SMS OTP, and last but not least, you can be up and running in hours rather than weeks or months that it usually takes for an IT project. This is how we integrate, or Tectia MobileID integrates into the existing Juniper SSL VPN infrastructure. At the left-hand side, at the lower corner, you have your remote user. They are connecting through the internet. They hit the corporate firewall. The login request comes to Juniper SSL VPN. Juniper SSL VPN forwards the radius packet to MobileID. The radius packet contains the username and password. MobileID goes to the Active Directory of LDAP, checks that user, and if the credentials are okay, generates a one-time password and sends that to the end user. The end user then keys that in, and they are granted access to the VPN. This is how it looks in practice. Here's your standard SA series Juniper SSL VPN login screen. Press sign in, your mobile phone beeps. The dialog changes into please enter your SMS password. You key that in, and you're logged in. As simple as that. Additional use cases or things that we can do with MobileID. We can do fraud prevention and password management via SMS. We can proactively lock the end user's account after an arbitrary number of failed login attempts. We can do notification of locked accounts via SMS. We can allow account reactivation via SMS. We can even do geo IP check to ensure that wherever you're logging on, your phone sits in the same location, such that if you're in Hungary and the mobile phone originates from Nigeria, we can detect that as fraud and prevent that. And we can permit forgotten password and PIN reset via SMS, eliminating the need for help desk and offloading that function to the end user. Now here's an actual business case. Andritz, based in Austria, but really a global market leader and a global company for customized planned systems and services. They have 14,300 employees worldwide. They're using a cluster of Juniper SA appliances, and their problem was how to provide secure access, user access to a global workforce with diverse conditions in different geographical locations. And we rolled out in a matter of weeks with MobileID for Andritz, and the customer testimonial was that Tectia MobileID allowed us to strengthen our authentication procedures globally using a solution that has been very easy for users to adapt. And further customer benefits for Andritz were that no upfront investments or licenses or hardware were required. They pay as they go, based on active users. No end-user activation was required. Anyone can log in using MobileID anytime, anywhere. And it scales upwards and downwards based on actual usage. No lock-in caveats, minimal help desk and administration required. So, let's look at the technical side of things. How do you integrate Tectia MobileID with Juniper VPN Appliance. This is a screenshot of Juniper SA admin interface, and you simply add a new AAA or radius server, and you basically type the IP address, the authentication port, shared secret, and accounting port, and choose your timeout. Then you open the administration interface to Tectia MobileID, and you open up that connection to the Juniper SA radius client. And it's simply just keying in the IP address and the shared secret. And then you connect, as per depicted in this screen, Tectia MobileID to your Active Directory. And again, IP address, port, protocol, login name, and password. And you're live. You can start using it. Via our website, www.tectia.com, search for MobileID, and you will hit these links, and you can actually trial the screenshots that I showed you earlier, the Juniper SA series login free of charge anywhere in the world for anybody. You just register, type in your name, your email address, and your mobile phone number, and you can start playing around with it free of charge. You just need internet access. So, to summarize, MobileID versus other solutions out there, we're the only ones with operator-grade messaging capabilities. We're the only ones with high availability for those messaging connections. We allow ad hoc use because there's nothing to administrate on MobileID's side. It's set and forget. It is highly scalable. You can have a few users or you can have millions of users. It provides a scripting framework for customized business logic. And finally, it is certified for SSL VPN from Juniper. And at this point, I would like to mention that our distributor here in Hungary is Relnet Technologia, and you can either contact Tectia, myself, and my team directly, but the Hungarian distribution goes through Relnet. With this, I thank you for your interest and time. I hope you've had very good, successful 2 days, and thanks for having me.